It's the first full day of witness testimony in the deliberate homicide trial of Paul DeWise. I'm Cody Boyer, and we're in the courtroom.
A new MSU study is showing promising results for an internet-based program designed to reduce depression symptoms. I'm Gabby Crevitt, and I'll have the details coming up.
Just ahead of 6:30 on this Wednesday, Chet Lehman, Matt Elwell with you here. It's not been too bad here for the last couple of days. I know parts of the country have had school closures and things like that, and my answer is let them have it.
They can. This is our chance, if you didn't get out ahead of the big cold snap, to be able to put up all your lights outside.
I'm within days of getting it done. I know, I've got other things to do.
We all do,
Yeah,
Chet. I understand.
I still have 3 excuses I haven't used yet.
Okay, well, that means 3 more days. Temperatures holding into the teens for Bozeman and Butte, 20s and 30s in a couple of areas in southwest Montana with a little bit of cloud cover out there. Temperature should be into the mid to upper 30s for the afternoon. It's going to make for a beautiful afternoon and a beautiful sunset. We'd love for you to go out, snap a photo, and share it with us. You can go to our Facebook pages, sunrises, sunsets, picturesque, whatever you want. We'd love to share it. We'll talk more about your complete forecast, of course, coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:30 now, our top local story this half hour. Some dramatic testimony yesterday in the murder trial for Joseph Paul DeWise. He's accused of killing his wife back in 2018. MTN's Cody Boyer has the latest from the courtroom.
And I actually started to talk to her, and as I walked closer to the threshold of the door, I saw that she was dead.
Audria Butler recounts the night she found Lauren DeWise dead and another woman critically wounded, both shot while they were sleeping.
Ashley was waiting for her. There was a lot of blood in her memory. She was awake. Her eyes were wide open. She said, "Please help me."
Butler says Lauren moved into her home in mid-November of 2017, afraid, accusing DeWise of abuse.
My husband has been abusing me for a really long time.
Then the woman who survived the shooting, Ashley Van Hemert, took the stand herself.
I was shot in the back of the head. I was shot in the right carotid artery. And I know that I was shot on my right side as well.
Van Hemert described an evening with her boyfriend, Ralph Dennis, who had dropped her off the night before. That's all she remembers before she says she woke up in the hospital.
What's the next day that you can remember after going to bed?
This is no, and this is yes.
Dennis, who also took the stand, says at one point he was considered the primary suspect with an on and off past with Van Hemert. The defense argues that several others could have been the shooter, including Dennis, while Butler says with DeWise having shown up several times at her house in the days leading up to what happened, she believes it was the man sitting in the defendant's chair.
Of all of the threatening things he had said to her, because of all the terror he had already caused her, because of the aggressive things he has said to me.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Now, Cody tells us that trial expected to take 10 days. During all that time, DeWise will remain in the detention center being held on a $1 million bond. In other news this morning, a former elementary school teacher in Helena has been charged with felony possession of dangerous drugs, including cocaine, methamphetamine, and LSD. The former teacher also happens to be married to Melissa Romano, the Democratic candidate for state superintendent of public instruction. Lewis and Clark County prosecutors filed the felony charge against Eric Lehman, who resigned his teaching job as of November 1st. Prosecutors say while an arraignment is scheduled next week, they've negotiated a plea agreement, which should be executed soon. In a statement to MTN News, Romano said her husband is taking responsibility for his actions and seeking treatment. Lehman was pulled over in Helena on August 31st by a highway patrolman for expired registration. Patrolman said he smelled marijuana and suspected illegal drugs in the vehicle. Lehman refused a request to search the vehicle. Patrolman then had the car impounded and obtained a search warrant. In other news, a Bozeman woman facing charges of driving while under the influence of marijuana and leading police on a high-speed chase. 26-year-old Rebecca Kriegel is accused of driving eastbound on Interstate 90 yesterday morning through Broadwater County. Court documents show Kriegel was driving along the center line at speeds of more than 100 miles an hour. She also, as she got into Gallatin County, Montana Highway Patrol troopers were able to spike her tires. Troopers found pot inside her vehicle. Bail set at $500, and her court date has been set for February 5th. In other news, Bozeman City Manager Andrea Surratt is stepping down from her position to take the same position in Sandy Springs, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta. Surratt has been the city manager for 2 years for Bozeman. She says taking the position in Sandy Springs will bring her closer to her family and will give her experience in a major metropolitan area. Her last day will be determined by the Bozeman City Commission. That's according to her contract. Also yesterday, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments about a case involving Superfund cleanup for residents in Opportunity and Crackerville, both west of Butte. High Court heard the Atlantic Richfield Company's appeal of a Montana Supreme Court decision that will allow residents in these communities to file lawsuits against the company. The communities are near the old Anaconda smelter. Residents claim cleanup of the pollution in their soil was not adequate. Now the Supreme Court will make a final decision on this matter at a later date. Well, a new study from Montana State University shows positive trends in treating depression with an online-based program. MTN's Gabby Crevitt has the details.
I'll hear a story that says, you know, this is the only thing I have available. And that's a common story, I think, among a lot of people who live in remote rural areas of the state.
A company in Seattle asked Montana State University to test an online program designed to help people cope with depression in rural communities.
Welcome to Thrive, a program designed to help you improve your emotional well-being.
The program, which is called Waypoint Thrive, launched in 2017. Here's how it works. Participants take a series of questionnaires about their mood.
It says over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? And then these are the specific items. And so I'm going to select the frequency from which I feel like I'm being bothered by each of these things.
The program then uses an algorithm and presents a specific video that matches the person's responses to the questionnaire. At the beginning, the videos weren't resonating with people in rural Montana. That's when researchers partnered up with Montana State University to try and make videos that were a little more relatable for people in rural country.
The videos were very sort of city-oriented, urban-oriented, and we needed to tailor it for the rural frontier population.
Students and faculty recreated scenarios from the original videos.
That's like the core of all filmmaking, is that can you make a story that connects to people, that has some sort of emotional resonance and also is authentic. And you know, I think we were able to do that.
Waypoint Thrive's program is still in the research phases, but sure says it's showing a lot of promise for the future of rural mental health.
This is something that, you know, as a simple intervention, it shows the power of intention and wanting to improve.
In Bozeman, Gabby Crevitt, MTN News.
Now, Gabby tells us you can learn more about Montana State University's research findings by visiting our websites. Treasure State headlines this morning in Ronan. There's a group of ranchers with 15 heifers they don't need. The heifers are part of a new scholarship program for kids in 4-H and FFA clubs. MTN's Katie Miller shows us what raising these animals will teach the kids.
The Western Montana Stockmen's Association represents the cattle industry in 6 western counties. Vice President Carl Gunzler says the organization's goal is to promote the beef industry and help educate young people.
It just really educates them how the industry goes and how good and how bad it can be at times.
3 years ago, the group started a scholarship program for kids in 4-H and FFA clubs. The program will give some of those kids a heifer.
They'll learn a lot through the program, or what it costs to raise the heifer, you know, the ups and downs of the markets and challenges of getting her bred and turning her into a cow, and hopefully she produce well.
The first year, WMSA gave away 1 heifer. Last year, they were up to 8. And now, they're giving away 15. All kids need to do is put in an application about their goals and why they're interested.
These heifers behind me will be at this feedlot in Ronan until January. Then they will be awarded to some of those lucky kids.
Kids will also team up with a mentor to help them vaccinate and feed the animals. Nick Corville says the heifers were donated and bought by the WMSA.
Just to kind of help set the kids up for success, we want the mentor to be someone that's in the cattle industry, that's able to help them and maybe seen a problem that they might face or be able to help fix it, or know someone to call to get the heifers through whatever hardship they might be going through.
Applications for the scholarship program closed December 16th. In Ronan, Katie Miller, MTN News.
I love that, especially the mentor part. That's awesome. Organizers say they haven't received any applications yet this year. Applications can be found at our website for kids ages 10 through 16. I love that. We're going to take a quick break here at 6:39. Here's a couple of stories we're working on, including an overnight vote to summarize the impeachment investigation. It sets up a hearing later today. We'll have the latest on that. Also, here's what's coming up on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, military families living in squalid conditions, dangerous mold, maggots, and leaks prompt a lawsuit over housing. Why some say it's too late for the military to take action on this. Also, U.S. students are lagging behind when it comes to reading, math, and science. In our School Matters series, we'll take a look at why and what role parents can play in their kids' education. Remember, it's your kids. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.